Hello, everyone. My name is Lena Viano, and I currently work as a strategic planner in Mettler Toledo in Zurich, Switzerland. During my career, I used to work for companies that deal with B2B and also B2C products. I used to work during 10 years for Procter & Gamble, and also during 2 years at Bosch and Siemens home appliances. And now, since 2 years, I'm working in my current position in Mettler Toledo. I worked in several countries and on different positions in marketing, supply chain, business development. And I used to have positions like normal positions and also a team leader. So I have a wide experience that I would like to share with you today, not only to explain you the difference between these two business models in details, but also to give you some tips and tricks that maybe will be helpful for you later when you will be deciding how to proceed with your career. So let's start with a description. What does B2C and B2B mean? B2B means business-to-business model. It's when companies produce some products or services to other companies. So they don't work with end customers, but rather produce some steps in between that the companies that are their clients will later sell these products to end customers. So a B2B customer, it's usually a company, and it can be a manufacturer, a wholesaler, or also a retailer. B2C, or business to customer, means selling products or services to end clients, to customers, to normal people like us. And these are end customers or end users of the products or services. If we look at this slide where I outlined some details, some elements of B2B and B2C customer businesses in terms of their target audience. If we work with B2B, and we remember that B2B clients are big customers, so either manufacturers or companies, it's very important here. The relationship building, personal relationship is very important. And because there are normally a company that is working with B2B, they have only a few clients, a few customers. So here the relationships are very important because each client will take a decision and will decide on your some substantial share of your business, like 10 or some. I even knew some customers with some products that make, for example, now at Mettler Toledo, 30%, up to 30%, or even up to one product was even up to 50% of our whole business for this product worldwide. So you can imagine what influence this customer has for your business. It also, when we talk about making business as B2B, business to business, it's very important not only to sell product and to build relationship, as we mentioned, but also to share some knowledge and experience. And usually, when we talk about B2B, it's more about building business together than just selling products. Because when we're dealing with B2C customers, with end audience, we're just trying to sell to satisfy some end needs of these clients. But if we work with B2B, here it's important to understand the business needs of this customer, the difficulties that the customer experiences or success, and to adjust our business model or our proposals accordingly. Also, when we are working with B2B, very often we are dealing with some niche markets, so some like very specific, very narrow niche. As an example, with Mettler Toledo, a division where I work now, we produce sensors, so measurement appliances, sensors that our customers, normally production enterprises, use to produce either pharmaceutical goods or products, like daily products. In terms of selling cycle, B2B, as you can guess, it's usually a very long selling cycle. And sometimes, like in my experience in our company, sometimes we are making negotiations and then signing contracts that outline a project that will last for several years, sometimes 2 years, and during this time we fix the volumes that and times when the customer will order certain products. But normally, of course, it's not in a daily business, but when a client is building an additional production plant, for example. And in terms of B2C, it's they usually have a short selling cycle, because they satisfy needs immediately, sell immediately, and then like move on. If we talk about decision-making process or decision-making stakeholders, then in B2B, it usually involves several people, because you can imagine that one person normally cannot take a decision for like $1 million contract. And in case of B2C, it involves individuals, so they can take decision personally and right on the spot. And as we mentioned, it's very important to build a long-term relationship with these single big clients, because if you lose one, you can lose for up to like 50, 30, as I mentioned, % of your share. And at the same time, when you are working with B2C, of course, here the credibility and quality is important, of course, but if you lose one unsatisfied customer, it's not such dramatic, because this customer maybe will make like only 1.000% of your business. So in terms of target audience, as I mentioned in B2B, and these are big companies, other companies, businesses, production plants, etc. But it can also be retailers that are then selling products to end customers. But of course, depending on the sales structure, on the sales strategy of certain companies or certain products, a B2B customer maybe will not even be selling products to end customer. Maybe it will they will produce and sell to some wholesalers, and wholesalers will sell to retailers, and then retailers will sell to end customers. And in this case, this production plant, wholesalers and retailers will be B2B, and then end customers will be B2C. So now a question, take a moment to consider, to think about it. As I mentioned, I worked for 10 years for Procter & Gamble, and now I'm working for Mettler Toledo. I already mentioned that Mettler Toledo is exclusively a B2B company. So we produce products that are used for B2B. And then our clients are all companies, so they are all B2B clients. And what about P&G? Because you all know Procter & Gamble products. This is some shampoos or toothpaste, diapers, etc. Is it a B2B or a B2C company? So the answer is, in terms of products, of course, this is B2C, because the end consumer at the end of the day, it's a normal person, like, or a household that will be using this shampoo or toothpaste. But in terms of business model, P&G, because this is a production plant, like a producing company, they have several production plants. This is, they work on a B2B structure. So they produce their products, they sell to wholesalers, and then wholesalers sell it to end customers, or they sell to retailers, either P&G or wholesalers, depending on the country sales structure. And then they sell to end customers. So as you can see, a company can be both B2B or B2C. So if we talk about sales process, normally the sales process, sales structure is takes more time and is more complex at B2B, but at the same time it can be also more straightforward. Like in case of Mettler Toledo, we sell to our producing plants, and we avoid the several steps. But in case of B2C, as I mentioned, an example of Procter & Gamble, they are selling products to several stages until it reaches the end customer. In terms of relationship building, the relationship in case of B2B is much more important. It's also much more long-lasting. And although this is B2B, it's called business to business, but business is made by people. So it's very important for salesperson, for salespeople to build this long trusting relationship with buyers of the client. And in case of B2C, when we are talking not only about B2C products, but also about the end stage of selling to customer, the relationship is not so important, and it's also not possible to personalize the relationship, because imagine the billions of shampoos, if we're talking about shampoos as an example, are sold around the world. It's not possible even for a retailer to build a relationship with end customers. It can be done, but not directly. It can be done through providing high quality products or through some promotions that are not communicated directly as in B2B, but more like through the advertising, through some posters. So it's not a personalized, but rather a mass relationship building. So let's talk about marketing strategies. As you might have guessed from the previous slides, what we already discussed about B2B and B2C. In case of B2B, first, these companies usually have less promotions. But if they do, they are normally very personalized, because each producing company might have different needs for different products, different volume, and depending on the situation, on the business situation, each time the conditions of sales are negotiated. Whereas in B2C, the marketing is usually mass marketing. It involves some standardized promotions, standardized discounts, communication that is directed on mass, like average customer, let's say, like on mass market, through some advertising or promotion at store, or discounts that are available like for everyone. And also the second peculiarity and difference between B2B and B2C, when a company is B2B, so it's selling to other business partners, it's not known for each business partner what conditions the other business partner or what prices they have. For example, in Mettler Toledo, our prices are top secret. Even within the company, not everyone has the access to see the conditions for different customers. To avoid the leaking of this information and like some misunderstandings or misuse of it. And at the same time in B2C, it's very, very obvious, it's very open. And if you enter the store, you know that if you buy the shampoo for a certain price, then you know that a person who will enter after you, or who is in the store at the same time as you are, will also get a shampoo for exactly the same price. When we so let's transition to pricing and negotiation. When we're selling products to end customers, we normally don't negotiate. And here there is an effect of mass market of decisions taken on a mass scale. So we don't know if one person is happy about the price or not. We cannot evaluate it, but rather we should look at some statistical data. And there are some statistical companies, for example, Nielsen, that are gathering some market information about pricing, about like customer satisfaction, and so on and so forth. Taken like these statistical studies taken from a small sample and extrapolating it on the mass population. And normally big companies like Procter & Gamble, they are buying this information from Nielsen to understand their consumers, but as a mass market. Not, of course, not understanding each single consumer. And at the same time, in B2B, it's very personalized. So negotiations are complex, and prices and terms are adjusted to each customer every time. And we can, through discussions, negotiation, relationship building, dialogue, we can really understand the needs of one specific customer. So we don't need statistical information, we don't need extrapolation, we just need to build a trusting relationship to get all the information that we need from this customer. When we come to and one important question about B2B and B2C, one important topic about prices, it's margin. So normally when we are selling to B2C, because the cost to serve is, we are normally trying to reduce it, but still, because it's like a mass market, usually the margin there is lower. And at the same time, in B2B, it's usually higher. Also because the products that we are selling are more complex, more technologically advanced, and it's more difficult to replicate through competitors. So that is why here the prices can be and margins can be set higher than in a mass market like a shampoo. It's much easier to produce than a sensor. When we come to customers' expectations, of course, B2B and B2C customers expect high quality. This is normal. Of course, we all want to have high quality goods and services. But when we're talking about reliability, here in B2B niche, the reliability will be more important, but also the quality will be more important, because these are usually like when the customers, B2B customers, when they are working with a company who provides them goods or services, they're usually creating contracts. So it's not like today they buy orders from one company, tomorrow from the other. They're making contracts, and according to these contracts, they are buying certain volume under certain price during some certain negotiated time. And of course, during this time, it's very important to show reliability, because on one hand, the B2B customers are not that flexible. They cannot switch like this, especially if we are talking about high technology products, like, for example, our sensors. They cannot just rebuild the whole production system to install other sensors if we, for example, cannot provide them with the needed sensors. This is why, of course, their expectations for quality and reliability is more important. And at the same time, B2C customers and customers are more flexible. So if they come in a store and they don't see the shampoo of of the brand Head and Shoulders, it's okay. They can buy some other brand, and it will not be so dramatical. And when they come to the store next week to buy shampoo again, or maybe in months, because a person doesn't buy shampoo probably each week, in months, it will not be a point for them like, oh, last time there was no Head and Shoulders shampoo, so this time I will not buy it again. If I like this brand, then of course I will buy it again. And at the same time, in B2B, if you violate the conditions, if you are not reliable enough or you don't provide high quality, the customer will not switch to the competition right away. But it can lead to ending the contract depending on the conditions, or at least to stop working with this supplier on a long term. And of course, for a company who is selling B2B services or goods, the risks are much, much higher in this case. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of both business models? And the advantages of B2B, it's revenue stability, and overall, usually revenues are higher, the volumes are lower, the cost to sell to customer or cost to serve, it's usually lower, because dealing with building the relationship with one big client, you can make a big a percentage of your volume. As I mentioned, these examples like 30%, 50%, but depending on the company, if it's a small company, then maybe one client will be even 100%. Think of an example. If a person who used to work for some big company and then decided to transition to get independent, maybe it will only have one client at a time, it will provide some services to a big client at a time. Then in terms of control, of course, here B2B clients have, B2B businesses have greater control over the prices, over transactions and terms. And the competition here is lower. As I mentioned, usually B2B products are more technologically complex, advanced. They usually have a patent license, and it's very difficult to replicate, and it's difficult to enter the market for competitors. In terms of advantages, the risk is higher of losing some big shares of business, because B2B companies depend on a few big customers. So the risk of losing one for whole business performance is very high. And therefore, the negotiations are more difficult. And because the risk of losing customer and with this customer, big percentage of the business is high, then the credit risk of this company is also high.